Welcome to the very first episode of the Picking Brains podcast, the podcast where we talk to people who do what they love and are killing it at it. Today, I have on NXT superstar Jack Starz. Jack, how you doing?
I'm really good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good, all good. Can't believe this is your very first podcast, right?
Very first one, yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
very
believe it.
first
I
one.
can't believe it as well. Because the thing is, as well, like you're now an you're an NXT superstar, but I've known you since like what 4, 5 years ago. When did I first met you in my first year of uni, I think properly anyway. I actually met you before
Yeah,
this, but I don't think you remember. I've met you at a Robbie Brookside seminar. Do you remember the one where like everyone came to? I'm sure you went to like several that he did to in Leicester, but there was one where I can't even remember who was there. There was like this is my very first experience like outside of my home training school, and I see all these guys. This is before like there was a big like boom in the UK scene, so there was like Joe Connors, Ginny, Liam Lazarus. There was like all these people there, and I was like, this is my first time now seeing anyone outside of the UK bit, and I'm like, oh, he looks really good. Like he might be the guy that Robbie Brookside picks today to get signed, because I was like, oh, Robbie Brookside's looking for all these signed talents. So I think that was the first time I met you. Do you remember much of that, like that day? Like not me.
I do. Like, I remember that. I remember that day very clearly. To be honest with you, I remember the amount of people that came. I think it was the first time Rob came back since going to America and working with NXT. So him obviously coming back over here, everyone wanted to get in the I guess the old viewfinder and see if they could impress him. Obviously aiming for tryouts and whatnot. But yeah, I do remember that day. It was very hot, very sweaty.
There was like, yeah, like in a small little gym. This is how like big British wrestling was at the time. It was just a tiny little gym in Leicester, and there was, what would you say, like 100 people? There was like
Must have been easy, yeah.
there was so many people there. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Let's start a little bit about like how you started in professional wrestling, because the thing is, this is the reason why I wanted you on the very first episode, because I don't think anyone there's a lot of people who worked very hard to be a wrestler, like, very hard, but I would 100% put you in the top 10 in the UK for 100%, because the amount of setbacks that people don't know that you went through, like you didn't just randomly get in front of WWE once and then get signed. Like,
No, definitely not.
That's not a credit to, that's not any disrespect to people who have done that. That's very, very fortunate. But Jack, you went through many different stages of working for like different things in WWE, like as an extra, as like backstage stuff, like loads of stuff. But let's talk a little bit about how you started out, literally just from the moment you decided to start training.
Well, it's a bit of a weird one. Like, I remember my first kind of exposure to wrestling as a kid. Like, when all of my friends like wrestling, I hated it. I thought it was stupid. Never watched it on TV.
No
I saw
way.
yeah, like I'd be in the playground at school in like year 3, and we'd have this wall where guys were like trying to choke slam each other off, and I was like, oh, what are they doing? It's so stupid. I never really got it then. And then it was like, I think I was waiting to leave on a Saturday morning, and I was just flipping through TV channels, and I just came across WWE on Sky. And the first ever image of like kind of wrestling on TV I saw was just the image of Kurt Angle winning the King of the Ring, and it just captivated me from there. It was, and this is a little bit that kind of is stuck in my head so clearly since then. I remember watching it, and I've always wanted to do something different. And when I saw that, I was like, well, if this guy can do that, why can't I? And it just something instantly clicked, and I just love wrestling from there on in.
Yeah.
But my first ever, I guess, wrestling experience was, I don't think I've ever told anyone this story before. I don't even think I've told Rob. So
okay, we're getting a Picking Brains.
it's a juicy on this. So
okay.
I wonder if he actually remembers this, but hopefully not. But in like 2007, I went to his school after doing a little bit of research on the internet. This wasn't long after he'd started teaching in Leicester.
Is this your first time, like, any experience with like any trainer? This is your very first
any
time,
experience?
Right? Okay.
Yeah, any experience? Yeah. So I went down very, very timid, very shy. Didn't know what to expect, to be honest. And I walked into this gym, and I can remember a few guys that are still about now, but most of them, I was just like, I was such a tiny guy walking into this gym. These guys like moving around, like terrified.
Like big bodybuilder guys.
Yeah, that's like
Just
huge, massive
yeah.
men. Like maybe if I look back now and saw them for what they were, they probably weren't massive, but back then they just seemed absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, we rocked up to this cold little gym. Blue mats were laid out, and then Rob was there and everything, and I was absolutely terrified. I was watching, and he was getting guys on and onto the mats, like obviously 2x2 or whatever. And then he just looked at me and went, "Right, get on the mat. You're gonna have a match." And I was like, I remember running, like I ran to the toilet. I was like, "Oh my God, you can't do this. What's he trying to do? Put you in a match?"
So like you've not had any other prior wrestling experience, but they're just like, "Okay, you're gonna go have a match."
Yeah, you literally can get the mat. Yeah, you literally get the mat, and you're just gonna work. Had no experience at all.
Okay.
But later on, obviously, I understood what was going on. But yeah, I was in the toilet. I was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to pretend you're sick or something. You're gonna have to pretend you're sick." So I literally sat outside, wait till the session ended, and I didn't go back for, I think it was another 3 years after that.
Oh, that's great.
Terrified.
So you went to training, and then they just said like you're gonna have a match, and then you went to the toilet just like I can't.
I just hid. Yeah, I literally hid in the stall until the training session ended because I was that terrified.
Oh, that's crazy. I never knew that. I've never heard that before.
No, I don't think anyone else. Like, it makes me laugh now, but I just remember how scared I was. I was like, "What's he doing? Put me a match."
Did you know who Robbie Brookside was at the time?
I did the research and I saw that he worked on WWE TV and did quite a lot over in the UK. But I wasn't really in the know or anything. Like that. I just thought it's a wrestling coach in Leicester.
For the listeners that don't know, Robbie Brookside is like a complete like British wrestling legend for one. We did a lot of in the World of Sport days, which was massive in the 80s, 90s. It was crazy. And then after that, he was one of the few who got picked by WWE eventually, and he started now, and he was training some of the guys. He still does to this day. He's still training guys in the Performance Center in Orlando, the Performance Center in the UK. So he was like a big deal. So there was very few guys around that time as well who you could pick brains off like that, right? Like there was nobody really who you could go to get wrestling advice because no one was around. So having somebody like that is a massive deal. So you went from there, leaving 3 years later. What made you go back? Like, what was your experience in that time? For you to think, okay, I'm gonna go back and train, or like, were you watching wrestling in that time in the 3 years off?
Yeah, I was definitely watching wrestling. I was watching wrestling. Whether I still wanted to do it, I can't really remember. But I used to work at Laser Quest, and a girl started working there, and I was talking about wrestling with her, and she goes, "Oh, I'm a wrestler," and I was like, "What? You're a wrestler?" She goes, "Yeah, I train at a school called War in rugby."
Okay.
And so from then it was kind of like, oh, so there's somewhere else I can go to learn how to wrestle.
Who was the girl?
Her name's Callie Colwell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that kind of gave me a spark to get back into it. So she kind of motivated me, said, "Yeah, come down. Everyone's really friendly down there." And I remember going down that weekend, and from about 2009 to the summer of 2010, that was my very first wrestling experience. Like I said, those guys were like pivotal in building that initial confidence, teaching me the very basics of wrestling. And it was incredible there. It got to a point where I had a couple of shows there, and I just turned to the trainer and said, my goal is to WWE. Can you guys help me get there? And they were honest and kind enough to say, like, no, we can't do that. Obviously you're from Leicester. If that's where you want to go, then you need to go see Robbie Brookside. So from there, it kind of went full circle, went back there, and I went back to start training with Rob in the summer of 2010.
What's mad about that though is it's completely unheard of that like a promotion would tell you, "Yeah, no, you can't get to WWE through us." I guarantee you the majority of back then anyway, the majority of promoters would have told you, "Yeah, you can get to WWE by doing 10 shows a year." Like they come and look at our shows all the time. So it's crazy that you got that honesty from them, and then they took you to they gave you a referral to Brookside School, which is
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it was like I said, unheard of. But those guys were kind enough to obviously be as honest as that with me, and yeah, like I said, incredibly grateful for that.
Yeah. So you had a few matches at this place. Now going back into training with Brookside in 2010, what was that like? What was that like stepping back in there? What was your mindset going through it all?
Well, my initial first session, I was thinking back to 2007. I was like, is it going to be like that again? But
Yeah.
it was very different.
At this point, you already had some training and then like some matches as well. So I mean, it wasn't like you were just coming straight from like nothing, really.
No, definitely not. It was. I definitely had over that time wrestling and training at War. I definitely had that confidence boost that I needed to, I guess, survive in the environment to wrestle Leicester. Yeah, it was just as soon as I was there, I was like, right, it's time to work now. Let's go get it.
Yeah, and how was it? Did you do any shows like after when you started training at Robbie Brookside School? Like, what was that like? Were you doing? At the time, were you able to take outside bookings like through other companies, or was it just strictly that promotion? Because it was a very different time back then as well. So was it? Were you exclusive to Robbie Brookside's training and shows then at that time?
So I trained there. Pretty much every Sunday for until Rob left for America and then beyond. But I was very loyal to that place. I was like, right, I'm sticking here. Then obviously, if I stick with this, then it's going to get me to where I want to get.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't have my first professional match until 2012. So it was a good 2 years of training there before, like, none of us got put into matches or taken to shows with Rob until he thought you were ready and you were show worthy, basically. But when it came to other shows, like, there wasn't anything to say you couldn't work on those shows. But the big thing was getting paid to be on these shows. Okay. So it was I wouldn't say frowned upon. Obviously, like, you could do it. It's totally up to you. Like, it's up to you if you want to do it. But like, out of respect thing, that if you were going to work shows, then obviously they wanted you to get paid to do it, because obviously if you're good at something, then you're going to get something for it. But yeah, that's how it went for me. I trained there for 2 years, and then on October 31st, 2012, I had my debut show for All Star Wrestling. So.
So All Star was your first show outside of like your training companies or anything like that?
But yeah,
I know you did like several tours with All Star as well. Like, you were working there up until basically you got signed, right? Like, you were working there from then up until like 2017 you got signed, or 2016?
I actually got signed in November 2018.
Okay, yeah. So you were under several contracts though, right? You've been under several contracts with WWE because you had the UK tournament one first, right?
UK tournament one, and after, basically it was just the UK, the actual UK tournament weekend, and then after that it wasn't again until 2018. So
okay, so the initial contract was just for like a couple of days, like a week or so, and then it was
yeah.
Okay. Before we get on to that, just tell us a little bit about your first match with All Star. Like, All Star can be a very intimidating place to be around for many people, especially people starting out. So, like, for those of you who don't know, it's like, so All Star at that time was probably most well known to be the biggest promotion in the UK. Like, but it was very different. Like, there wasn't any cameras or anything like that around. It was just, these are the people that do the shows the most, and anyone at the time, anyone that goes there would get a looking at least from WWE, right? Yeah. So
All Star.
About what your first match was like, and what it was like backstage and things like that.
So first match, I think I found out on the actual day. Yeah, I got a call that morning. I think just need an extra man, and it was like, "Can you drive us down to Gravesend tonight? We've got a show for All Star. You're gonna have your debut." I was like, losing my mind, anxiety to the roof. Yeah, so went down. This was all brand new to me. Just getting to meet the guys and stuff like that. And I worked with a guy called Jimmy Meadows. You've probably met him. Yeah. Jimmy's great. Like, I learned so much from him. I'm still learning so much from him. He's just such a good wrestler, and I couldn't the match itself, like if I watched it back, I would have probably thought, oh my God, this is terrible. But my memory of it, it was just the thrill of it, the energy, just thinking, oh, I've trained for this long and now I'm actually getting to live my dream. Like it's a proper wrestling show in front of in one of the best promotions in the UK as well. So it was amazing. I remember Brian come up to me and was like, what's your name? And I was like, Jack Starz. And I was saying write down on a bit of paper. And then the referee comes up to me and goes, right, you're Spud Murphy. I was like, what? No. You're not Jack Starz. You're Spud Murphy tonight. I was like, oh, okay.
That's standard, like Brian Dixon. He like whatever he says, and that like it wouldn't even have to make sense. But whatever he says, that is what you're doing that night, no matter what. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about some of the all-star tours that you've been on, because like a lot of them, they're like you'll go through the summer and you'll be wrestling every day, like twice a day, and like some of the guys that you meet and you wrestle from, you'd learn so much as well. It's crazy. So tell us a bit about like who you wrestled, and then like some of the best learning experiences you had. And there's so much you learn outside of the ring as well, just talking to some of the like best guys around. So tell us a little bit about what that was like.
So my first experience of actual tours of All Star didn't come until a few years later. I think the summer of 2015 is when I did my first, I guess, official week on the summer camps. But literally after a few days, you obviously working 2 or 3 times a day, and like if you're not learning being in that atmosphere, then I don't know where you're going to learn anything better.
Yeah, it's like crazy. Like so many people like abroad and things like that. Like some of the best wrestlers you've ever seen have come over and they've worked on these tours. Like guys like Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, Nigel McGuinness. There's so many guys that came over and they just worked on those tours. And I think Daniel Bryan talks about it in his book, right, where he's like he came over just specifically to learn a UK style. And it's crazy how much people don't know about that. But you got to wrestle like other like amazing guys like Dean Allmark, right? Like I'm sure you've worked Dean Allmark like hundreds of times now, but like tell us a little bit about some of the better guys that you wrestled and some of the lessons that you learned from them.
Probably the biggest influence I had during the summer camps was working with the Harlem Bravado. He came over from America, and there was a couple of weeks where I literally just got to go in there with him, and like the amount I felt like I'd learned more in a week of working with him on the camps than I had in the last few years of wrestling.
Yeah.
Just the main thing was building confidence, and I think working on the camps definitely brought that out of you because you had no choice. You had to show out. That's what they wanted. Like you work in that crowd, and get to work with guys like him. It just made it easy and it made it fun. I think up until from when I started until maybe 2016. I lacked fun in wrestling. Like I saw it as such a serious thing, and getting on the camps and working with guys like Harlem Bravado, Dean Allmark, Rob Dynamite, the Henchman, James Mason. It just brought a whole new side out of wrestling for me, where I actually fell in love with it.
Yeah,
and it wasn't such a stress anymore.
You fall in love with it in such a different way, right? Because it's not so much like, okay, I need to do this because I'm doing this to get signed. Like if you like, I was in this mentality as well. Like you're just constant, every show you do, obviously every show you do is to put on your best performance and to hopefully get signed. But the thing is, if you're constantly in that mindset and then you don't know how many years that is away, then it can like eat away at you. So it's very much better just to, and tell me if you agree with this as well. It's very much better to enjoy the journey. Like becoming is better than being, right? Like going through all of that is so much fun. Like it can be so much fun when you're in the ring and you're not worrying about getting a full-time paycheck at that time. You're just worrying about right now and being in that moment. And you were saying like guys like James Mason, Dean Allmark, Henchman, they all taught you a Harlem Bravado. They all taught you how to do that, right?
100%. Like trying to think of the word.
No, it's all right. Honestly, it's a form of meditation, I would say, because good luck thinking about anything else during that time, because you've got like 1,000 things to think about when you're in a wrestling ring. It's crazy. So going through all of that is just, it's mad. You were fortunate enough to be with some of the guys like who are really unsung. Like you already mentioned them, Harlem Bravado and people like that. all of those guys, they know so much about how to work the British style, and like just being in the moment with the crowd as well, because a lot of British wrestling is about crowd work, right? Like that was very much the bread and butter of it all before it's like wrestle for the cameras or wrestle for everybody who's sitting at home. It's just wrestling for the crowd that night, and it's a really, really good learning experience. So you started out training from a young age, and then now I would say like you're completely ripped, like you're actually shredded now. So at which stage did it start from I'm just a skinny kid who wrestles to okay, I need to look like a star? What kind of training did you like undergo, and then what was the turning point in your head to be like okay, I need to look like I belong here?
Well, when I first decided I want to be a wrestler as a kid, I remember just having a thought that like if you're going to make it in wrestling, then obviously with your size, you're gonna have to be something special. And something that really stuck with me is physique, and I just wanted to start working on that as soon as possible. I think I started training at like 12, 13. I remember asking for weights for my birthday and stuff. Didn't really have a clue what I was doing.
Do you remember what kind of like year this was?
I think must have been 2004, 2005, somewhere around there when I started
at that time in my bedroom. Well, yeah, sorry. At that time as well, going through all of that you at that time in WWE, you had to be like what 6 foot at least to get a job. You have to be 6 foot and ripped, and like anytime you walk in a room, people need to notice. And obviously wrestling's changed a lot since then, but at that time you had to be ripped at least. And Jack, you're only like I say only, but you're not as tall as some of the main roster guys, so you had to do something in terms of like getting in shape, right? Did that ever play into your head?
Oh, all the time. Like that was one of the main things that fueled me when I told people I wanted to be a wrestler. They said, oh, no way, you're too small, you're not big enough, and whatnot. And it was a chip on my shoulder for sure. But that for many, many years, that people saying those things, that was the main fuel that fueled me.
I was about to say that really must have fueled your grind at that point, right? Because honestly, I've said it to you several times on Instagram before, but your work ethic is insane. Like tell us a little bit about like the dietary restrictions that you like imposed on yourself just to ensure that you would get into the best shape possible, or like just to ensure that you'd be like literally just a machine. So what's that like now? What was that like then?
Back then it was I was like until maybe I was 21, I didn't really focus on what I was eating. I was just training. I didn't really have any understanding at all on nutrition or anything like that. I was just kind of going through the motion. But when I started working in a gym, immersing myself in that kind of environment, that's when I started really getting the right kind of training, the right kind of mindset on nutrition. It's changed a lot over the years, obviously built. But now I have my nutritionist that sets me like macronutrients, everything every single day.
You were having like no fast food as well, weren't you, at the time?
No. I completely, I just cut it all out. Like, I just saw it as it just did no good for me. I was just like, why am I putting this into my body? Like, if I want to perform, then I need to be eating good food, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't actually think I've eaten a McDonald's since 2011.
It's been a while. Like in terms of your work ethic, that's a credit to your work ethic, right? Because you were just so ready to cut that off, and because you had that tunnel vision of okay, everyone's saying I'm small, but I need to make sure that I'm in the best shape possible, because when WWE look at me, I'm going to be fully ready. And the thing is, there's not so much a thing between good and bad foods. It's just you get a better deal with some foods than you do with others. So like obviously a lot of McDonald's is processed, so you're not going to get like fast food in general. A lot of it's processed, so you're not going to get the same output you would with other more whole foods and things like that. So being able to knowing that and knowing like when to like what kind of foods to eat, and I think that played a really big part in your training and like how well you perform now in the ring. So again, that's a credit to your work ethic. going through all of that, and then you had that was all like wrestling based. Like you had that tunnel vision to ensure that you were gonna like get signed eventually. Did you ever have the doubt that you wouldn't at that point, or were you just straight like, okay, I'm gonna ensure that I do this one way or another?
It was like I can honestly say that the doubt never like entered my mind. My mind, it was, I was so consumed and obsessed with the task of like, making it to WWE that I didn't even give myself time to think, oh, what if I don't get signed? Like, what else can I do? Anything like that. It was just such constant tunnel vision for making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did it ever come in your head that you may not make it at any time, or?
Well, when I started, when I basically got my foot in the door with WWE and the opportunities kept coming,
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, like, just give it your best, do your best. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we'll cover it a little bit later on, but adaptability was a huge thing for me in this.
Okay. That was one of the bigger lessons that you learned, just adapting to
just adapting to the situation. Like I said, like it was never really any doubt that this is what I was going to do. Like, it was, the mindset I had was you're gonna make it or you were gonna die trying, and that's as blunt as it is.
Yeah. You mentioned a little bit about some of the WWE opportunities. Tell us a little bit about when the first one came and what that was, because I know you went through several opportunities with the WWE. Like it wasn't just like I'm pretty sure. Did you ever get a match? Was your first experience? You didn't get a match, right? It was like up until what, your third or fourth time with them. You had a match.
Is it actual TV match or?
Yeah, a TV match.
Actual TV match. Like, I was counting this last night. I was just having to think about it. Like, before I got signed, I like tryouts and kind of extra talent, backstage kind of stuff. Like, I'd worked for them 11 times before I got actually signed.
What was your first time with them? Your first like encounter with the WWE? What did they hire you for?
So basically, I'd been working my ass off, and I'd been constantly sending promos and stuff to Rob, trying to earn myself a tryout and everything. And the opportunity came where they wanted someone to lead the tryouts in London. Okay. So Rob kind of took me in the back door to get me seen. So I'd be there. I know all the roles. I know all like the exercises that went in and everything like that. That's basically my job, just to kind of show how to do those exercises, and then everyone else kind of follows on for that. But yeah, it was a very last minute thing. It wasn't official. I remember Rob saying, get yourself a hotel in London, turn up to the O2 Arena. And I remember looking at hotel prices, and I literally had like £40 in my bank account. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get a hotel in London for 3 days for £40? I was like, But there was I had some friends on the tryout, and they were nice enough to say that I could crash on the floor in their hotel room. Okay. And they'd sneak some breakfast up in the morning, and I'd be just sat behind the door eating it. But yeah, that was my way into the first tryout. But yeah, it was my main goal with that was, again, the tunnel vision was there. I was like, it may not be
show everyone that you can do this perfectly, right? Like everything that you were hired to do in terms of leading the tryout, you want to just ace every single movement. You didn't want to be like, oh, can you show me this before I show them, right? It was just like, okay, this is what I've got to do to, like, for them to really look at me, right? Yeah, it was like, I went into it, I was like, you're going to knock this out of the park. Like, you're just going to give it your all, and you're going to prove that this is, like, you deserve to be here. And I actually, going into that, like, I was so amped up for it. Like, at the time, I don't think I could have possibly given any more, and I was very proud to come out of that. And how many tryouts did you have before eventually signing with the WWE? Like I said, including like actual tryouts, I think it was 5. Yeah, but it was 11 times before. 11 kind of extra talent kind of tryout roles. What was some of the other things that you did other than the tryouts? Because some of the extra work that you did as well, what was some of the things that you did with them?
God, we've done
You were a Rosebud once, wasn't you?
Rosebud. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the first time. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
Rosebud. I think we did 2 nights in a row of that. We've done the
A
Conga Line.
rosebud, sorry for the viewers that don't know. A rosebud was essentially just an extra for a guy called Adam Rose who was coming to the ring. So he would come with a party, and then you were one of the party guys, right?
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the Rosebud thing. We did the Conga Line.
Mhm.
Carmelo was champion at the time. We got to be some of the Beefeaters that kind of marched out to the stage with her. That was that's probably the most daunting experience I've ever actually experienced, to be honest.
But these were in front of so obviously in the British scene then that you're working like local town hall, like town halls are like some of the best venues that you're working on the independent scene, and some of them can get a lot worse. You'll be working in a park in like the cold or the boiling heat, one or the other. So going into even extra work, you're walking into an arena full of 20,000 people, right? Like no matter what that experience is, you're going to be loving it, right? Tell us a little bit about what it was walking out for the first time in front of like 20,000 people surrounding you.
It's almost as like time stands still,
mm-hmm.
and the energy is like nothing you could possibly ever imagine. Like, I don't think you ever get used to it. Like still now coming out of NXT UK, like it's a lot more of an intimate crowd, but there's still a few thousand people out there, and it's it's just such energy. It's it's so hard to describe. It's so important in the moment.
I can imagine it's crazy. I think it's a bucket list for like I would say for 90% of wrestlers around the world is just to be within the WWE in some capacity, or like, just to work in front of an arena is crazy. And then the tryouts as well. A lot of people don't know how hard the WWE tryouts are. They're designed to make you break, basically. And if you come back and you're still happy to be there, I think that's a big credit to how you are and how much you want this, right?
Yeah. I think like the first tryout was a lot different to the rest of them. I think, like I said, like that one I found a little bit more kind of like pushing you to breaking point. After that, they got a lot more intimate in the sense that everyone was working together. Like everyone was there working for each other, supporting each other, and they basically just wanted to see that obviously you want it, but you're not going to give up. They just want to see how far you will push yourself. Yeah, it was a lot less, I guess, boot camp and a lot more nurturing.
Tell us a little bit about what they do within those tryouts, especially the one. Talk a little bit about how the differences in terms of what you just said. Like the first one was designed to make you break. Like tell us a little bit about what they made you do in those tryouts and what they were looking for.
I think it's a number of different things. Like Mr. Eagle says all the time, like things change all the time. They're looking for different things within athletes. And again, I find it's changed at the tryouts as well. The main staples is just seeing how you move, seeing what your footwork's like. So rolling, so many different starts. Like the first few hours of the trial, they have you rolling. All different kinds of rolls, back rolls, jumping rolls, everything, just seeing how you're moving about, looking at footwork as well. Yeah. Another big part of it is ring conditioning. So for those who don't know, grapes, which are like high knees, where you hang on to the top rope. Yeah. You want your knees at the middle rope.
And then you would drop down, do a press.
You're doing drop downs,
right?
But got set goes, which are pretty much laying down flat on your back and you're getting up to your right. They have a correct way they want that doing, things like that. Rope running, all different kinds of things. It's just
and this is conditioning, right? So they're making you do this like one after another, like for several, I would say like 2 to 5 minutes. Like it kind of depends on a lot of things, but they're generally looking for your in-ring conditioning at that point. So they're going to make you do it over and over. And then I'm sure you witness people who are like at the verge of breaking point, and like a lot of people throw up in these tryouts as well. Like it's hard. So was there anybody like that in some of the tryouts that you went through? You don't have to name anyone, but was there anybody going through that?
Of course, there was. Like you get athletes from all different backgrounds. You have like strong men, things like that, fitness models, all sorts. But yeah, you like all the time you'll get people feeling sick or if they'll throw up. But like I said, they're getting a lot more. They were they became a lot more nurturing, where people were supporting each other, motivating each other on. So everyone always got through it in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from what I saw anyway.
Yeah. As you said, you worked for WWE 11 times, but what was it like when you went through a couple of the tryouts, but still getting no like confirmation that they wanted you? What did that do to your mindset, and how did that motivate you in any way, or was it like, I don't know if they're ever going to be interested in me? Tell us a little bit about that grind.
Yeah, I remember at times I'd come back and being in that environment that I love so much, and then coming back home, it was definitely I guess a punch in the gut. It's like, oh God, what else do I have to do?
Mm-hmm.
And it always asked me the question, like, what more can I do? What can I do today to better that tomorrow? And that work towards that next opportunity and become even better for that time. But it was that started me lifting stones for trying not just to be the best athlete I can, like what else can I bring to the table to become more appealing to WWE?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I started competing in powerlifting and different things like that, just to try and become a little bit more appealing.
Yeah. So you did like a lot of those things, and a lot of it is, as you said, what can I do today to better myself for when it happens next time? And it's just about the habits you implement, right? Like, what can you do every single day that's going to make you 1% better, 1% better, 1%. By that time, let's say 100 days time, you get the next call from WWE. You've now become technically 100% better because you've been trying to do everything 1% every day. And I think that's super important in terms of trying to, when you've got that tunnel vision to make it, like you need that grind, like that one thing that you can do just to better yourself. And then what kind of things were there other than powerlifting? Was there anything else that you implemented just to make sure that you became more desirable to WWE?
I was just trying to establish my name a little bit more, getting out to different promotions, things like that. Just trying to improve in every area. Promos was a big thing for me as well. Like anything and everything. Like a big thing that came evident in the last few years was social media, and that's something that I've never been
about it as well.
Yeah. Like, to be honest, I haven't got a clue about it, to be honest with you. Like, I'll go on every now and then, post some stuff. Like, I'm a big fan of Instagram, but Twitter, like,
I know what you mean. I'm terrible at it as well. But going through all of that, then the door finally came knocking for the WWE UK tournament. And we'll talk a little bit about the setback that you had, but we'll talk about initially when you got approached for that and like how that experience was. I talked a little bit about this on a future episode that is coming up, but tell us a little bit about what that was like when you first got contacted.
I remember being in the gym. I think a few weeks prior, I just came back from another tryout, so I was getting my head around preparing for the next one.
Yeah.
And I was doing exercise, and I remember looking over my phone. I could hear it ringing. I just saw an American number. And it said Stamford, Connecticut. I was like, oh, I dropped this weight on my head. Kind of scrambled. I missed the call. I was like, oh no. But a few minutes later, I got an email from William Regal, basically saying there was something coming. Would I be interested? Emailing back. I think I replied in capital letters, yes. I'd love to. Thank you very much. We honestly, we had no
idea what was going on, right? Like, you just got an email saying there's something. Was it just like, can you meet us here on this day, or was it like that?
Yeah, it was pretty much like we kept getting emails saying, something's coming, stay obviously ready. And then we got invited to like a press conference and everything, and then they kind of said what was going on there a few days before we got there. And that was, I guess, the birth of the
day came. Like, all we heard at that time, like, so I was wrestling on an independent level at that point, and all we heard around that time is there's some contracts flying about, like, but we didn't know who from. They were just like, a lot of people have signed a contract, and we're like, okay, what culture is a big thing right now? Progress is a big thing right now. Are they implementing contracts? Like, things like, we just knew something was going on, but all we ever heard was rumors. We never heard exactly what was going on. And then the day came where it was announced. Triple H announced it on at that press conference, but that was like everywhere. That went viral because this is the first big thing that's happening in the UK since World of Sport, I would say. Like, what was bigger? Like, the British wrestling was booming at that time, but the independent level was crazy. That's how we got the attention of WWE. I say we, but it was guys like yourself, Pete Dunne, Trent Seven, Tyler Bate. They all got that attention on us. And then when that announced, and then they announced the 16 competitors, you were one of those people, right? Yeah, so
Yeah,
there was 16 of you, and then when you got told what it was, what was your thoughts surrounding all of it with the WWE UK belt and things like that?
My mind was blown. I was,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is it. This is going to be the start of something absolutely incredible. I don't think anyone fully knew what to expect. We just kind of taking it each day as it came. Like being at that press conference was kind of the pinch me, wake me up kind of moment. But yeah, that was ridiculously cool. Just getting announced to the world and just seeing how well received it was.
Telling me like not long after, you were just like, everyone's phones were buzzing in like one room, because obviously no one was expecting, like, I'm sure people were expecting it to be big, but like you just go into that room and then there's just phones flying off everywhere, like the sounds are coming from each different phone. That is crazy. And then the UK tournament brackets were announced, and there was 16 people, but it turned out that yourself and a couple of other people that were announced originally weren't on the actual show. Tell us a little bit about how you took that, and obviously that's another big setback, because you were, I wouldn't say promised, but you were told that you were going to be on the show. There was these 2 shows going on, and then you didn't make that bracket. Tell us a little bit about how that affected you.
Well, to be honest, like before even that, I knew what my role was there. They said you are an extra in case anything happens to the guys we pick in that bracket. And I've had a conversation with Mr. Regal about it before, and he openly said, like, he put the people in that he thought was ready and needed it there, and like I completely accepted that. Mm-hmm. Like going back to adaptability again.
It's still like a massive deal as well. Like to be able to
huge, yeah.
WWE on that, as you were actually the very first match that they saw on a WWE UK base, right? Like you were, before the show went live, that you have dark matches, and you were in that match, right? How did that match go?
We found out that morning that we were going to do it, so it was a big dream come true that night. Mm-hmm. I got to team with Chris Tyler against Ringo Ryan and Tiger Ali. We went out and just had fun. I remember doing some wrist lock reversal to Ringo Ryan, and the crowd just roaring. I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. I nearly forgot I was wrestling. It was it was such an incredible feeling, and having family there watching, getting to watch you on a WWE ring as well was incredibly cool.
Mm-hmm. Because this now that you had that as well, but the cool thing would be, I can imagine myself doing this, but then getting back, and then you're getting advice from Triple H, William Regal, Robbie Brookside. There's so many people there that you could have just spoken to and got their feedback. Did you get feedback from these guys as well?
Yeah, we did. William Regal was our agent that night, so we got some great feedback from him. But they were all very happy with it, and said it was the ideal match. They wanted to get the show underway and get that energy going for the first night. So yeah, really, I think
all of that was a very good culmination to like your resiliency in terms of, a lot of it's very easy to get like unmotivated. I'm sure I've met so many people, they'll get these tryouts, but because they weren't picked in the first or second time, it's just very easy to be like, okay, they're not interested, I'm done, I need to focus on something else. But with you, it was just more so, okay, they didn't like me this time, what was I lacking? Okay, I need to work on this. When I go to the next show, they're going to see I worked on that. And do you think that played a big part in as to why you're now a full-time NXT superstar?
100%. Like anyone that ever asks, like, they always say, what's the biggest piece of advice you give? Like, just, this isn't just WWE. This is just this can be for any job at all. But for me, adaptability.
Yeah.
Like William Regal from day one said, like if you want to thrive here, then adaptability is key. Just anything you ask. Like you said about UK tournament, about the brackets, like, that's completely fine. If that's what they're paying me, like if that's what they want to use me for, then that's totally fine. Like, I'm here to do a job, and that goes for anything like in the indies or anything like that. Mm-hmm. For example, if there's no spots to wrestle that night, but someone offers you a referee job, like snatch it.
Yeah, take
like,
it. Yeah.
Like to be in these positions I've been in, like I know people would kill to be in those positions. So
100%.
I've literally grabbed them with both hands and ran with them. And adaptability, like that to me is that to me anyway. I'm not sure how anyone else feels, but adaptability to me, that's why I believe that I got signed by WWE, just having that mentality.
Yeah, and you still have this now to this day. It wasn't so much, okay, like I got signed and now I can, I'm sure you are enjoying it, but it's more so, okay, now I've got to set new goals in terms of now that I'm here, I want to be like, I'm sure you're not exactly where you are right now, because everyone who gets into this mindset is just striving to be better all the time. So tell us a little bit about your goals now that you're signed with NXT UK.
This was a really big thing for me. Like once I got signed, it was such an emotional time, and just working relentlessly for 10 years, completely obsessed with that one goal, and then accomplish it. So it was a big shock. Like what do I do now? Like what my new goals? What do I want to achieve? And it took me a little while to get kind of adjust to that, because I'd been in that mindset for so long. But my main goals was, like, since being here in NXT UK, like any opportunity that comes my way, like TV time is gold. So whatever opportunity you get, grab it with both hands, run, do it to your best ability, build that trust with my higher ups basically, and the opportunities will flow. And I've always kind of taken it day by day. Obviously, I have big aspirations. Like my big dream is to one day make it to NXT in America, Raw, SmackDown. Like my goal is to be here for life. This is literally all I've ever wanted to do, is work for WWE. So,
and you can see that, because it was, as I said, this was like a good decade long. It's like longer than that. Like that was your grind from, like, how young were you when you started? 12, 13, did you say? Yeah.
12, 13 is when I really started getting the ball rolling.
That's crazy. That was your wrestling career in like a nutshell, but you did a lot of stuff out there. Wrestling has led you to do a lot of cool things, and we did one together, which was you did it for a lot longer than me, but you did the you were one of the main stuntmen, if not the main stuntman, for Fighting With My Family, right?
Yeah.
Fighting With My Family was a film about WWE superstar Paige, just about her career going up from starting out, like literally just what we spoke about, like from starting out from a girl from Norwich to making it in the big leagues in WWE. Tell us a little bit about what that was like, getting that opportunity there, because you actually got me the job there, but we'll talk a little bit about that. And but first we'll talk about how you started then, how that all came about.
Basically, it started just before the UK tournament. I got a call from Rob saying, would you like to come to London for a few days? He's training a few actors from this new upcoming film. And I was just down there for a few days. Yeah. Went down, got to meet Florence and Jack, the guy that played Zach and Rhea. And we just basically talked some basics of wrestling. It was a real fun few days, real cool.
I never thought, like several months as well, weren't you?
Yeah, this is where it goes. It's so I did those few days, came back, did the UK tournament, and then at the UK tournament, I remember getting asked if I'd like to go back again. And when we went back again, I don't think I came back until April. We were down there for that long. Yeah, it was really cool. We got to basically put all the matches together for the actual film and train the actors and actresses, which was incredibly cool as well. But yeah, just getting a window into a completely different world that I never thought I'd actually get to experience was absolutely baffling. It was so cool just to obviously see heroes in. You hear it like seeing Lena and Nick Frost. Just obviously you watch Game of Thrones, you watch Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, and stuff like that.
Merchant was the guy filming as well. So that's crazy.
But I remember
The Rock. Not The Rock was not there. I was you let me know about a time there was like an opportunity to be a stuntman. So I was actually only in one scene, but it's my claim to fame. So when I went to go watch it, I was like, nobody blink because my scene is coming up. And then I was catching Jack's crossbody in the what was supposed to be the gym in Norwich for the WAW school, but going through, I was only there for a day, but it was 8 hours, and then I did how long did we film for? Like 3 or 4 that day? I didn't. There's so much work that goes into these films. It's crazy. I was only in it for maximum 30 seconds. And obviously, I was a stuntman because you don't know it's me. But that was filmed like 4 or 5 hours at a time, and like you did more scenes than me. So like, tell us a little bit about what that was like day to day. Like, what kind of things did you go through? Because it can get like, a lot of it can get very long. Like you're there long days, like working several hours a day, and sometimes you're just like sitting around, like not doing anything because they don't. Your scene isn't there, right? And they're filming a scene for 2 hours. You'll be like eating catering for the 5th time of the day, and then going to do your scene, right?
Oh yeah, they were incredibly long days. I don't think I can watch a film now without thinking how long or how many different times they'd filmed this particular scene. I've got definitely a new appreciation for films, but yeah, it was they were incredibly long days.
Mm-hmm.
Like that scene we filmed, for instance, what, 30 seconds, and it took a matter of hours just to get something they were satisfied with.
It was crazy. It was great. Like you film it several times over, and then I I was told at the time, like, so I was catching a crossbody, and a lot of times you want to make this crossbody look as good as possible, and like in general matches, because you're only doing it once, so you're just like, I'll throw my body so hard at the ground that it looks amazing. You'll get that reaction. But with this, I must have caught your crossbody at least. I don't know, maybe 30 to 40 times, like so many times that I would have to do that. And then I was so glad I didn't jump and meet you in the air and then fall down. Yeah. One, it was a boxing ring, right? And also it's just, I'm going to be broken by the end of the day. So doing that over and over was crazy. Now that you've signed and you had that film experience, you've done like loads of things like outside of wrestling as well. But is there anything that you wish you did before you got signed? Is there anything that you wanted to do outside of WWE, or was it just always get signed by WWE and then make a name for yourself there?
I don't know if it's incredibly boring, but that's literally all I've ever wanted to do. Like,
no, I completely get it. That's, as I said, this is the reason why I brought you on the first episode for this podcast, because he just had that mindset of this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do everything I can to. So I'm not surprised. Was there any of your favorite matches that you've had on the independents and within WWE as well? Just talk a little bit about who your favorite matches were with and some of your best learning experiences.
Oh God, you make me think now. Start with independence then. Some that definitely stand out. I got to work for 4FW, and they gave me the great opportunity to work with Sushi Aoki.
Yeah.
I was so excited for that one. It's amazing, the language of wrestling and how it doesn't matter away from what the language barrier is. Like, everyone understands wrestling, and getting to work with him was it was a dream come true, to say the least. Yeah, it was a huge learning curve as well, getting that honor.
And what about
other than that,
WWE?
With WWE, like, again, like, people are going to probably think I'm a madman, but Walter, Ilya Dragunov.
Did you've wrestled him once, right? Televised, you wrestled him once, right?
This Walter.
Yeah.
Walter, yeah. His debut on WWE, yeah. That was, just getting to stand in the ring and watch him come down to the ring to that music is an experience in itself.
And then he effed you up with that chop. Like, that was so, like, honestly, like, I think that went viral, didn't it? It was crazy, like, how this is the first time you're seeing Walter chop. And a lot of things in wrestling, like, sometimes you can make it look good and it doesn't hurt that much, but that was 100% real. And you can see from the red mark on your chest, right? It was like a handprint, like, caved into your chest. It was so bad. I'm sure you can find that somewhere, but that's crazy. Jack, thank you so much for coming on today. Just to close off, is there anything that you would say to anyone who's starting out in wrestling, or anybody that's trying to achieve something but they feel like it's out of reach? Is there anything that any advice that you could give them?
Go for it. Like, don't think too deeply into it. Just go for it. Start with action. Like, I kept it very simple, and tried not to overthink at all. Just dive in head first and see what you can make of it. There's probably the biggest thing that helped me was just try and be the hardest worker in the room, whatever you do. Just give it your absolute all, because at the end of the day, we get one life and we can make the most out of it. I'd rather doing it something I love than do something I hate for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And a great bit of advice I wish I had earlier on is, don't worry, it's none of your business what anyone else is doing, and it's no one's business what you're doing. Just focus on yourself.
Yeah.
Tunnel vision, go get it.
I 100% agree. Jack, thank you again for coming on so much. That was a really good point to end on. Where can people find you?
Instagram. That is probably where I'm most active. I believe it's Jack Starz with a Z, one word, _ WWE. And on Twitter, you can find me Jack Starz with 3 Zs.